Hello friends, today we're going to dive into the topic of how to calculate ROI on your short-term rental property. So how is ROI calculated on short-term rentals? Well, by the end of this video, you're going to be equipped with how to evaluate and figure out the ROI on your short-term rental property. This will help you to make smarter investment decisions and optimize your property's performance and achieve your financial goals. Have you ever wondered, how do you even determine if a short-term rental property is even profitable? What metrics and calculations do professional investors use? Well, stay tuned because we're going to break down everything you need to know to assess the ROI on your property by first helping you understand what factors go into calculating the ROI on a short-term rental. Secondly, I'll actually help you take those numbers and help you figure out what ROI is and eventually get a cash-on-cash return. If you're ready, let's go. So first, let's dive into these terms. First, let's dive into ROI. What is ROI? It's return on investment, right? When somebody buys something, especially an investment, they want to know and understand what's going to be the return they're expected to get. What about cap rate? People have heard of cap rate. Cap rate is when you take NOI, which is net operating income. Net operating income is when you take all of the revenue and you minus all the expenses except for the mortgage payment. That's going to give you net operating income. Cap rate is a tool that investors use to determine whether a property or an investment is worth their time compared to other investments. So you get that by taking the net operating income and dividing the purchase price into that. That's going to give you a cap rate. And a cap rate, like I said, is just a quick indicator whether it's worth their time to even consider it as an investment. And cash on cash return, that is going to be the return you get from the cash that you put into a piece of property or an investment and what that's going to give you cash-wise every single year. So let's talk quickly about some rule of thumb ideas that will give you a quick valuation of a property. Let's say you're looking to buy a piece of property or you're looking to evaluate or value your property and you put your mind in the investor or somebody who wants to buy it, because obviously if you own a short-term rental, chances are you've done enough analytics and investigation to understand whether it was worth your while or not. But a quick general rule of thumb for somebody looking to buy a short-term rental is this. You take the annual rents, the annual revenue that comes in, and the purchase price, and if annual rents are at least 10% of the purchase price, it's an okay deal. Now, if annual rents are at least 15% of the purchase price, that's a pretty good deal. So if you're looking at a property, $500,000, and annual rents are $75,000 at 15%, that's a pretty good deal. But if annual rents are 20% of the purchase price, that is a fantastic deal, usually one you don't want to pass up. That's not going to give you ROI. It's not going to determine the valuation, but it's a quick snapshot to help you understand the mindset of an investor when they're looking to buy a short-term rental or they're evaluating a short-term rental. That is a quick snapshot that even gives them the idea to move forward and do a deeper analysis. So let's talk really quickly about net operating income. Now, as I mentioned, when you have net operating income, you're taking all the rents, all the revenue for the year that come from everything. And then you're going to take all the expenses minus the mortgage payment, right? So all the expenses, you're looking at the booking fees, you're looking at maintenance, capital expenditures, all of the utilities, water, gas, sewer, garbage, cable, internet, everything that's included in there. And if you have it professionally managed, obviously that management fee is going to be part of that too. So you take all those expenses and subtract them from the gross revenue. That's going to give you your net operating income. All right, now that we understand some basic quick snapshots that help give us an idea of valuation, let's do a deeper dive on ROI. And I'm actually going to use an example of a property we bought close to Disney in Orlando. Now, when we bought this property, it was not a short-term rental. It was just a home that somebody lived in. So we knew in order for it to stand out, we could have rented it out how it was with the furniture that was in there, but it's a very competitive market. We knew that we had to do something to make it stand out. So we knew we were going to invest some money. We wanted to understand if we invested this money into this property, was it going to be worth the investment? Was all the money we put in to remodel it, to decorate it, to get it to stand out, was that going to be something unique enough that allowed us to get a good return on investment and a cash on cash return? And I'll go through those numbers with you right now. Now, one interesting thing about doing this, when we went through this exercise, we had somebody go in and say, listen, here's how much I'm going to spend. I'm going to update the furniture. I'm going to get stuff that's new, that's durable, but also looks nice. Another thing about short-term rentals, especially in the Orlando area, most people never use garages. And this had a 2-car garage. So we turned that 2-car garage into a movie theater, and it was themed with an Iron Man statue on one side and a Captain America on the other. So it's really cool. You walk in the door, that would normally take you to the garage from inside the home, and you walk into a completely fully done home theater system that is absolutely amazing. So let's walk through some of those numbers and I'll show you what we spent. So first off, we bought this home in 2021, and the price for the home, it was an 8-bedroom, 6-bathroom for $587,000. I know we got in at a good time at a very low interest rate, but the purchase price on the home, $587,000. Now, I had a partner that I went in with this property, and it was their second home, so they got the loan in their name as a second home with only 10% down. So the 10% down was $58,700. And then you take into closing costs being $6,000, and then the whole remodel of the home, we got it themed out to where it's themed after Jurassic Park, and each room has its own individual theme, from Pirates of the Caribbean to Harry Potter to Lilo and Stitch. But the theme of the home is that main room when people walk upstairs, it's decorated out in all Jurassic Park. It even has a mechanical velociraptor in there. When you push the remote, it starts to growl at you or make velociraptor noises, whatever those are. But anyway, it's a huge attraction to people staying at our home. You can even go to the website dinomitevilla.com, D-I-N-O-M-I-T-E villa.com. And so that whole remodel cost us $115,000. So our total out-of-pocket expense with the closing costs, the down payment, the remodel was $179,700. We put that much money into this home. Was it going to be worth it? Now, obviously, we had to get a mortgage for that, right? We had a mortgage, $528,700, which gave us a payment every single month of a 30-year loan at 4% at $2,400 for principal and interest. Now, there was additional costs of an HOA, taxes and insurance, an extra $800 a month. So our total out-of-pocket monthly expense for the mortgage and HOA was $3,200. On top of all the expenses we have that I talked about to calculate NOI, we now have to realize, is it going to be worth it? Can we cover the mortgage on this property every single month? So let's go through that right now. So the income every single month from this property comes in at $12,600 roughly every single month. I simplified the numbers just to make the math easier. So on an annual basis, this property brings in $151,200. So let's run through the cash flow here really quick. Expenses every single month, I averaged them up just a little bit. It's $6,000 a month. So you take the $6,000 a month plus the mortgage, taxes, insurance, HOA fees of $3,200, and you're looking at $9,200 a month is what our expenses are. So with that, our monthly profit is $3,400. If I annualize that out, that's $40,800 every single year we're making from that property. Now that will fluctuate from time to time, but for the most part, we've seen these hold pretty steady from 2022 and 2023. And we're on track to do that as well in 2024, maybe even a touch higher. So now if I'm calculating my return on investment, here's what I'm going to do, and also give me a cash on cash return. So I take the profit from the year, $40,800, but I invested $179,900. I'm going to divide that into that $40,000 number and change, and that gives me an ROI of 22.7%. So you ask yourself, is this a good deal? How did I just calculate the ROI? What does that tell me about the property? Let me ask you this. If I were to tell you that if you gave me roughly close to $180,000 and every single year I gave you back $40,700, would that be a good investment? How quickly, how many years would it take you to earn back that $180,000? Well, it would take you 4.5 years. And in my mind, that's a pretty good investment. Every single year, you're making 22.7% cash on cash return. So the cash you outlaid and the return on the cash you're getting every year is 22.7%. That's a phenomenal cash on cash return. There's not many places, whether it's in the stock market or in other investments, where you're going to see that type of return. That's one of the reasons I love short-term rentals, but this is a surefire way to calculate ROI. And the other cool thing about this type of investment is, don't forget appreciation. This home that we bought for $587,000, right now, we could probably sell for at least $900,000 in today's market, maybe $875,000. So the other factor that people don't include a lot of times in real estate when they look at ROI is just the cash on cash return, which that's great, but most of the times, especially if you buy a property in a good area, good location, the value of that property is going to go up. And because we bought at the right time, the value of our property has certainly appreciated. And that's one of the reasons people love real estate, and they view that as an amazing way to accumulate wealth. These are some things that I've done to calculate ROI. I'd be interested in your feedback. Please comment below. Let's engage in a dialogue. And as always, I actually have a short-term rental calculator available to you for free. All this stuff that's on the board, you enter this into that calculator and it spits out all this information to you, whether it's a good deal or not. And it's 100% free, no strings attached. Just click on the link below, aaronsfreetraining.com. And thanks for stopping by. Have an awesome day.